Hello, I'm Nick Miles, and welcome to the Portland Cooks TV studio. On today's show, Lauren Skokeland from Milo City Cafe will be making 3 great dishes. It's Dungeness crab. All throughout the show today, we'll be making the Dungeness crab supreme, the Dungeness crab biscuits and gravy, along with the Dungeness crab hand-stuffed ravioli. I have my apron on, which means it's time to sizzle. Well, welcome to Portland Cooks, and we are in our special studios provided by Bradley Design and Education Center, where you can check out all your Wolf and Sub-Zero products. Now, with me today is Lauren Skokeland from Milo City Cafe, a beautiful city cafe which is in the heart of Portland. You've been around for quite a while. Tell me a little bit about the cafe.
We're in our 10th year. We're 2 blocks north of the Lloyd Center. The address is 1325 Northeast Broadway. Really known for our breakfast. We'll do Eggs Benedict, but we do it 6 different ways.
Nice.
We do hot sandwiches at lunch, but we do 6 different ones.
Tell us about what we're going to make today.
Well, we're going to celebrate the winter crab season, and I've got crab as an element in a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. And all of it will work off of a crab supreme, which we're going to present as a crab bisque for lunch, and it'll be the sauce for the other 2 dishes. And then we're going to do a crab biscuits and gravy.
Nice.
And we're going to do fresh Dungeness crab raviolis.
Wow.
With that same crab supreme sauce.
Well, let's get started and talk about the ingredients. So we're going to start off with this crab bisque. What are we going to put into the pot?
Well, it's just a lovely rich soup. We got some sweet onion, some roasted red peppers, some paprika. It adds a little smokiness and a little bit of spice to it. Everything needs garlic, a coarse ground black pepper, some salt, a little lobster soup base.
Now, this lobster soup base is something you probably find at the specialty store.
You'll find it at one of the nicer grocery stores. Of course, you have your wonderful Dungeness crab.
Very nice. And you're going to thicken it with some cornstarch instead of flour, right?
Yeah, I'm finding a lot of people whose bodies aren't comfortable when they eat wheat, and so this particular soup I like to do with cornstarch, so that everybody can eat.
And a few other little ingredients like heavy cream, which is really the candy in any dish, right?
Well, yeah.
Excellent. All right, now let's start off and put it together. Okay. And what are we going to need to do?
Well, we'll start with some butter, 2 medium onions of 2 fine diced medium onions.
Nice.
About a cup of sweet roasted red peppers, and then I'm going to put about a tablespoon or 2 of garlic and a similar amount of paprika. And then that just sweats, and sweating is cooking it gently without browning it. The pasta dish, we're going to make, I use just an all-purpose flour because I like a nice soft pasta dough for my raviolis. Right. And so I just pour my flour right on the countertop, and I'm going to put...
Look at that. That's the chef way, the one-handed eggs.
Yeah. Throw 2 couple of eggs in there. Make sure I catch my eggs as they're falling out. And then to that, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, and it makes the dough a little more elastic. And all this stuff needs a little bit of salt, so I'll pour a little salt in there.
Now, of course, the recipes for this and everything we make today is going to be at our website, which is portlandcookstv.com, and you can actually get those recipes right there. You don't have to write anything down while we're cooking today. Mixing it all together.
So I'm just mix it all together. Once it starts to gather into a ball, we'll knead it just a little bit. The pasta machine will do a lot of the kneading for you, so you don't need to work it too much. If you find it's too dry, you add a sprinkle or 2 of water. If you find it's too wet, sprinkle just a little more flour into it.
It has that nice yellowy color, of course. That's for the egg coming through.
That's from the egg. Yeah. So, and that's what is the difference between an egg noodle and a macaroni.
Oh, right.
A macaroni doesn't have any egg, and an egg noodle does.
Nice.
And so there's my pasta dough.
So presumably this is almost ready for the pasta machine, but I hear plenty sizzling going on with your bisque.
Yeah, we should add some. We should add the crab. Wonderful fresh Dungeness crab. Now I put all the body meat in here, and I'm going to save the legs to put on top because it's prettier.
Yeah.
And then I'll add some, this is a pale dry sherry.
Okay.
And then we'll make the soup. And so I'm going to put about 6 cups of the wonderful heavy cream.
Now, presumably you've done this so many times, Lauren, that you don't have to measure anything. At home, it's a recommendation that you actually measure stuff, because if you're like me, I'd be tipping the whole of the cream in there.
Yeah, I have the advantage of feeding 200 people every day. So I've got all these wonderful ingredients in here. And very often we'll puree the soup, but the crab is so nice, I think we're going to leave that whole.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
Now I'm going to put about a tablespoon or so of that soup base in there.
Okay.
And it really is just there to give a little depth of flavor, a little more of the lobster or shrimp flavor.
So we're almost ready to get back to our machine and do a little bit of pasta making. But first of all, let's take a look at this week's cooking tip.
Hi there. I'm John Eliason. I'm the beverage instructor at Western Culinary Institute, and I believe in something called ABC, anything but Chardonnay. One of the great things about living in Oregon is we have such a vast selection of international wines as well as domestic wines. Today my wine tip is about Pinot Blanc. Now this particular Pinot Blanc is from Austria. You may not have had an Austrian wine before, but they make wonderful food wines. Pinot Blanc is especially wonderful with things like roast pork loin, perhaps stuffed with dried cherries or prunes. It works great. My favorite is with scallops, slightly sautéed in a little bit of butter and a little bit of lime zest or lemon zest. It's a perfect match. This is Pinot Blanc from Austria. Cheers. I'm John from Western Culinary Institute.
And of course, all of our cooking tips are at our website at portlandcookstv.com. We have our pasta machine and our pasta, Lauren, ready to go. So we're going to turn it on and feed some pasta?
Yes, that's right. So I've got my pasta dough. It's been sitting for just a little while. I'm going to add a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick to the machine.
Okay.
I'll flatten it out. And then I guess I should do both sides.
And this is just like a roller, right?
It's a roller. It's like your old laundry tub. And it just squeezes the pasta dough down to a nice flat. It takes a little bit of time but no effort, especially with the motor.
Nice.
See, we've got that big ball of dough and it turns into this nice flat thing.
Right.
Isn't that great?
That is beautiful.
So this is the last pass.
And so that little ball of pasta dough has turned into a huge piece of pasta.
Isn't that great?
And of course you can actually buy ravioli sheets ready-made if you don't want to go through the process of making your own dough and rolling it out. And we're actually going to make some ravioli now, right?
Yeah, we will take a ravioli plaque and I'll cut a piece of dough about the length of that. And in each of these pockets we'll put some crab.
Now, 1 second, Lauren, before we go too much further with this, because I know this is going to be our final dish. We have it laid out, but maybe what we should do is take a quick look at that bisque and see how we're doing.
Great idea. We should taste it and thicken it. And so we'll thicken it first. I've got cornstarch, and to that I'm going to add some cool water.
Okay.
Just enough water. There's about a cup of cornstarch and a cup of water there.
And just whisk it together.
We'll just whisk it together, and just enough water to dissolve the cornstarch. Everybody likes their soup differently.
Right.
So if you like it nice and thick, you would add extra. And once it starts to boil, you'll see it thicken up very quickly.
Right.
Now once it has boiled, all the cornstarch has done its work. It won't thicken anymore.
Right. So boiling is the point at which you know it's not going to get any thicker.
Right.
Okay.
But if it doesn't boil, then you get a funny mouthfeel. You get that silky cornstarch mouthfeel. So you want to make sure it boils.
And that's excellent. Now when we come back, we've got the pasta to make, and then we've also got our crab biscuits and gravy.
That's right.
The gravy which we've just put together. That and more when Portland Cooks returns.